All right. Solving equations using multiplication and division. Now, yesterday we did addition and subtraction. Today we'll use multiplication and division. What, McVee, undoes multiplication? Good. If I multiply a number by something, then I divide by that same thing to get it back to where it was. Okay, good. All right. What undoes division, Lily? Multiplication. Okay? So those two operations are inverse operations. They invert each other. They undo each other. Okay? Now, there's nothing really in notes that we need to do here. But let's look at this first one. It says solve negative 6x equals 48. Now, Gray, what are they telling us to do when we see the word solve?
Don't remember.
Okay, hang on. I'll come right back to you. Raise your hand if you know what it means when you see the word solve. What are they asking us to do, Lou?
Get the variable by itself.
Perfect. Now, Gray, let me come back to you. We need to get the variable by itself.
Alright.
Is it by itself?
No, there's a negative 6.
Okay, and what's happening between those two
Being
things?
multiplied.
They're being multiplied. Good. John D. Now, how do I undo that multiplication? Division by what? Okay. Now, John D., this is algebra.
So what we have to do,
What we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. Nice. Okay? Now, Bennett, let me ask you this. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is what? It's 1, right? A number divided by itself is always 1. 1x, right? I'm going to leave it, we don't normally write it that way, but I'm going to leave it like that for the moment, okay? Now, on the other side, Allison, I've got 48, positive 48, divided by negative 6. What do I get?
You get negative 8.
Exactly, because a positive divided by a negative is equal to a negative. And then 48 divided by 6 is 8. Now, Koulis, do I normally write the 1 in front of the variable? No, I don't. But we know that there's 1 there, right? Do I normally write a plus sign in front of the variable? No, but I know it is plus if there's not a minus there, right? Okay, so my answer is x equals negative 8. Now, quickly, let's just check it. Rewrite the equation, but with parentheses instead of a variable. And, Izzy, what do I put in place of the parentheses? Negative 8. Now, Izzy, what we want to do is see if this left side turns into the same thing as the right side, okay? Izzy, what's a negative times a negative? A positive. And what is 6 times 8? 48. So I got 48 equal to 48. Did we get the right answer? We did, because that's a true statement. All right? Well done. Well done. Lily, let's look at the next one. Now, Lily, I'm going to rewrite it over here so we'll have some room to work. 9 is equal to W over 7. Okay? It says solve. What does that mean? Get the variable by itself. Is it by itself? What's with it? It's being divided by 7. Now, Catherine, how do I undo that? Okay.
I have to get to 7W divided by 7.
Okay, yeah, you're exactly right. Let me rephrase what you said. We multiply both sides by 7. So here's what we're saying. Here's one side, and we're going to multiply it by 7, right? Here is the other side, and we're going to multiply it by 7, okay? Now, let's simplify this if we can. 7 times 9 is what, Catherine? Good. Now, Catherine, how do I do this over here? Well, it would, but how do we get there? How do I know it's 7 times W? 7 over 1. Since I have a fraction, I'm going to make this a fraction. So when I multiply, I go straight across and I get 7W over 7. What happens to the two 7s there, Cedar? Well done, Catherine. Okay. I don't know. I'm a little shaky on this. Peyton, what happens to 7W over 7?
The 7s cancel out.
The 7s just cancel out because 7 divided by 7 is just 1, right? Do I need to write the 1, Koulis?
No.
No. So it's just W equals 63. let's check it, Bennett. 9 is equal to parentheses over 7. What do I put in the parentheses? 63. Okay? Let's see if that right side turns into the left side. What is positive 63 divided by positive 7? Right?
Wait, what?
Positive 63 divided by positive 7.
9.
9. Is that true?
Yes.
It is. Question?
Yeah. Couldn't you, from the beginning, just cross multiply? That's all you could have done.
Well, you know what? I can do that. But for me to cross multiply at the very beginning,
Yeah.
and you're right, Gray, 9 is equal to W over 7. What do I need to do to be able to cross multiply first?
You have to put the 9 over 1.
Bingo. So I'm going to get W times 1 is equal to 63. Nice.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, I don't always want to do that because remember, when I'm teaching you how to ride a bike, I'm not going to throw you off the half pipe. It's a nice image, but I'm not going to do it. Okay? We're going to put you on training wheels and give you some really easy ones first. But we need to know the methods, okay? And how to use it when it gets more complicated. All right, nice job. Nice job. Solve the equation, check the solution. Hey, Gray, let's use Gray's, but who wants to use Gray's method? Luke?
So you do 8 over 1.
8.
Negative 8.
Negative 8 over 1,
And
okay.
then you have to cross multiply, so you get B
B is equal to,
equal to...
right, B times 1 is B.
Yeah.
And then negative 8 times 8 is
It's negative 30... No, not negative 30, negative 64.
negative 64.
Okay.
Nice. Now, let's go back to the beginning here, okay, and let's check this. Negative 8 is equal to parentheses over 8. What do I plug into the parentheses, Lily? Negative 64. Now let's see. We want to make sure that the right side turns into the left side here. What is a negative 64 divided by a positive 8?
Negative.
Negative 8. And that's what we have on the other side. So did we get the right answer? Awesome. Awesome. Nice job, Gray. I love it. Be careful. It has to be easy like this. Right? That doesn't work, does it?
Well, once you get rid of the 2, you can do that.
But 4B.
You can get rid of it.
Right? It gets a little more complicated
Can you still do it? Yeah, if you got rid of
once
the
you get to the very end. Once you get at the very end. Yep. But once you get this far along, you won't even do that. You just do this times that. You know.
Well, something like that. Yeah.
What's that?
Will something like that be on the test sheet? Like the one you just showed us?
Absolutely. Example number 4. On January 4th, 2003, the SOHO, Soho?
Yeah.
Now,
That's a point.
I will give you a piece of information. SOHO is an abbreviation in New York. New York tends to like to do this for some reason. They like to abbreviate names. SOHO stands for South of Houston. There's a street in Manhattan called Houston. And if you live south of that, you live in Soho or south of Houston. There's another place in New York called Tribeca. And that is the triangle between...
California?
No, not California. I need to look it up again. But it's triangle between something. Or beneath.
Is that
Below. Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. It took me a minute. Tribeca stands for Triangle Below Canal. There's Canal Street in Manhattan. That's what it stands for. Okay? Now, Soho here, I don't know what it stands for, but there you go. It's a spacecraft. And it detected a solar wind traveling at about 2 million kilometers per hour. Okay. Now, the sun is about 150 million kilometers from Earth. About how long did it take the solar wind to reach Earth? Now, here's something that I want to bring back to your memory. Okay? We've talked about it in here. It's a formula. You've used it in science as well. And it's this formula. Distance, you can stop there. Raise your hand if that rings a bell yet. If not, that's okay. Clueless, what do you think?
Is it distance over time?
No, close. Close. Let me help you with this. Distance equals, Lou?
Velocity?
Velocity is true. We use another word for it. It's rate.
Right.
Rate. Distance equals rate. No?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Times time. Distance
Oh,
equals
yeah.
rate times time. Okay? Now, when you look at this problem, at the end it says, about how long did it take the solar wind to reach Earth? Which of these three variables do we not know? Which of these three variables are we trying to find, Izzy? Wait, which of those three letters are we trying to find? No. No. It says, about how long did it take the solar wind to reach Earth? Bennett? Time. T. This is the letter I do not know. Do I know the distance? I do. Do I know the rate? I do. Do I know the time? I don't. But I'm going to solve for it. Lily, what is the distance?
The distance rate.
Well, I'm going to let you read.
Okay. So.
150 million kilometers from Earth. That's the distance. 150 million. There, that's what it looks like. Okay, distance equals, do we know the rate? What is the rate, Peyton?
2 million kilometers per hour.
2 million kilometers per hour. All right, so 2 million is written over here. Do I know the time, Izzy? No. Izzy, what's happening? What's with the variable? 2 what? 2 million. And what's happening between the 2 million and the t? So how do I undo that? Division. By 2 million. But Izzy, this is algebra. I have to do to the other. Right? Okay. What happens, Catherine, to these 2 millions? They cancel out. And what am I left with on this side, Catherine? T. Okay? Now, what can I do with the zeros back here that makes this problem a lot simpler, John D?
You can cross out the zero.
I can cross out the zeros. Those two, those two, those two, those two, those two, those two, and I'm left with 150 over 2. Now let me ask you something. What are those zeros called back there, the ones we canceled out? You should know, because I've said it all year long. I've said, oh, if you have zeros back here, you can always cancel them out. Okay, good. Please stick it in your head. Terminal zeros. Those are zeros at the end, at the terminus, at where it terminates. Okay, the terminal zeros. Okay, now I'm just ready to do this last bit. Gray, what is 150 divided by 2?
Is it? It is 75.
75. Nice job, Gray. Now, Gray, let me ask you this. 75 what?
Million.
No. Mm-mm.
Wait, 75 million. What are you talking about?
Well, what are we talking about? That's what I'm asking you. What are we talking about here? What were we solving for?
You're trying to find how long it
Okay, good.
is. It 75 billion?
I don't think so. McVee? No, it's not. Certainly not a distance. What am I looking for? Caroline?
Hours.
Hours.
Oh, ow, yeah.
No, it
Nice.
wouldn't be 75. No, it wouldn't.
No? Because remember, we just divided 150 million by 2 million. We got 75. Okay? That's it. The time is 75 hours because it goes 2 million kilometers every hour. That's 4 million after 2, 8 million after 4, right? How many hours does it take? 75 hours. Okay?
3 days and
All right. Nice job. I think you're ready. And I'm going to pass out the homework.